All right, y'all, what's going on there? Man, I'm in downtown. I'm over there at Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta. So, peak I was up in the Jazz Festival in Hampton, Virginia, in my hometown. And there's been storms all up and down the East Coast. Y'all may want to be careful on your travels and so forth. Okay. I mean, they go all the way down to like pretty much northern Florida, all the way pretty much to Jersey, New York. That's how bad the storms were. They had storms up in Virginia, but when I flew here last night, from the time of the making of this video here. Today is the 27th. It was a late night flight. They got canceled, so I had to stay in Atlanta overnight. And every flight was booked, but I was lucky enough to get one seat off an 8 o'clock flight to fly to Las Vegas. So hopefully I can be able to make it home. And that flight is delayed, from what I understand. I think if I get delayed, I got some of my boys out here in Atlanta, a relative, and then somebody, a relative and a friend out there in Augusta. I may spend a day out around doing stuff. But anyway, y'all be safe with your travels, particularly if you travel on the East Coast. Now, I want to talk about this story here. There's been a lot of these different, incidents like this that's been going on, and I haven't done one of these in a while. But this is kind of like a marriage incident. Okay, that just two ordinary people just had some problems, but I think they just escalated and spiraled out of control. Now his name is Daniel Whitaker Jr. He come out of Macomb, Mississippi, but he's from Louisiana. Okay, he was a pastor out there at the church. He looked like he was fairly, that people liked him. He was a retired sheriff, or he had served on the sheriff's department. He retired to get into preaching. Was married to his wife Danielle. They had three beautiful young children. Looks like again they were doing well, but with all glitters ain't gold, because what happened was that the couple both had found shot in a Hampton Inn down there in Macomb, Mississippi. Okay. Uh, 2 days before that incident, there was a post on, I think, IG or Facebook that they took pictures together. Looks like they were smiling. All the pictures they took, they looked like they were happy. It looked like they weren't knocking each other out. But the guy said, I'm not perfect. Okay. I'm an ordinary man. So, and then again, that was June 19th when he posted that. And this incident occurred June the 21st. Okay. So just like a week ago. Apparently, it looked like it was some type of maybe marital problems, kind of like maybe behind closed doors. But the bad thing about it is now both had survived the shooting. She got shot twice, Miss Danielle, in the abdomen. He shot himself one time in the abdomen. So again, they were taken in the hospital, and looks like they're going to be fine. The children end up being put in child protective services out there in that respective, you know, uh, police department, okay, and recovery. And I'll put it to you like this: I've been through it, as far as divorce or having, marital problems and all that. Well, in Corinthians, Paul says in the New Testament, if she wants to go, then let her go, or let him go. Now, this incident happened out in the lobby. I don't know what ensued. If there was an argument, or maybe the guy didn't want her to leave his children. All right, I get it. All right, I've been there and so forth, but I just think that it's not so important. Not saying to let it go or take it lightly. To once again, now everything, his life is pretty ruined. It pretty much ruined. This pastor. I just have to say like this. Life goes on. And you know what? It's a matter of pride and honor. It does say, biblically speaking, that pride leads to destruction. And pride leads to a lot of our honor, too. And a lot of guys feel like, if they're in positions of prominence and so forth, or maybe pastors, or if they're in a high position of trust, politicians. I've seen this happen in the military with high ranking officers and admirals and generals back home when they were in situations like this. Or let's say if they had failed to command, or that's another example where this is the way they had to go out, like to execute themselves, or even themselves or their spouses. Okay, I've seen that happen before. And probably, I think, instead of him seeing his wife go with his children as a pastor, then he'd rather take himself and her out. Okay, that's the way to maintain his honor. You understand what I'm saying? More of like an Eastern hit. That's more like an Eastern type of ritual right there. People live out in the Middle East or in Africa. Okay, but that's how, you know most men are prominent, are going to do, because of the embarrassment and humiliation. But hey, in this new modern day times or whatever, life goes on, and the best thing to do is to let it go. I also think that many pastors or many people themselves are there are positions to counsel and to coach people, or even in ministry. It's probably good to have somebody to talk to. You should never be too proud to have somebody to mentor you, because here's what I want to ask you. And I have a fellow pastor I went to high school with, and I talked to him about my problems and my struggles. I know that you have to have a core to be able to give to people and to, shut off influence. Well, where do you get your core, okay, from? So it's good to talk to somebody, and maybe, if she wanted to leave, say for example, in that case, maybe write her a letter, send her a text, and be like, what are our options? Can we work something out? But I don't think that, again, it was really worth going after. Maybe I think that if he would have talked to somebody, maybe they could have got at her, maybe to mediate, for an example, and figure out some type of marriage counseling or whatever. Or some things have to take time, okay? Ladies, that applies for you too. If you're having problems with your man, though, too, or your husband, all right? But nevertheless, situations like this is not the way. But the bad thing about it is you have two families now on both sides are going to be affected. The children are going to be affected. And when you pull that trigger, you really don't realize what you did until, you know what I'm saying, until you already pulled that trigger. You can't take it back. So let me know what you think about the video here. Okay, stay tuned for more content. Like, subscribe, share. Check out some of the other videos. Cash App, $, Winston Spivey if you want to donate.